Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, episode 301 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight? I got nothing for this one.
I am Joe Butler, and I sure hope you don't find this podcast 6 months later. Otherwise, I'll already be missing or infected.
This is Blair Farrell from comicbookvideogames.com, and I don't really have anything either because that's how I kind of felt about this game after replaying it.
Shit on a stick. It's Nate. That's all I know about this game.
It's Joseph Loray, and I'm just curious, did Mike send anyone else a weird bracelet that's changing colors?
It's Mario from Biased Gaming, and honestly, I got nothing. All I know is that, you know what, at least I didn't become a Joe sandwich during this game.
All right. And we are here to talk about Resident Evil Revelations 2. Developed by Capcom, published by Capcom, came out in, 2015. There really was, I had to click a thing to pull it up because this came out episodic, and it didn't give me the dates like I wanted.
From what I remember, I bought this game when it first came out because I'm a complete Resident Evil head. I believe whenever the game was first released, they announced it was going to be episodic, and I believe every episode came out like a week after each one.
It was
It was weekly.
Very quick. And then the retail version came out in March 18th. The first episode was February 25th. So you got all four. Then the same day the last one dropped, you also got the retail version came out.
And the retail version was $10 cheaper.
That's weird. You think they'd be the same price?
No, it was the time when, buying like DLC online got huge. So when they sold these episodes at first, they were $10 a piece. Whereas when you got them at, let's say, when you got the disc version, you had to wait for them to come out. It was literally just like $10 cheaper just because you got it all at one download, just that you had to wait till it was unlocked.
That also seems cheap. I figured these would have been more than $10 a piece when they came out. I was curious about that too.
I did the dumb thing where I just bought the season pass because I found out that it's like, oh yeah, they're all coming out. Because I think whenever you looked it up too, they're like, oh yeah, it's episodic, but they're coming out like a week between each other. So I was like, I'll just buy the fucking season pass. I ain't gonna fucking sit here and pay per episode.
And the first episode was free too. So
okay.
Yeah.
So
weird pricing scheme.
Yeah, I mean, was it maybe not $20 an episode? That way it equals a full price game, 20, 40, 60.
It was the first game. The first episode was basically the demo, so it was free. But then the next few episodes were $10 each, and I believe the last one was $15. And the DLC episodes were, with all the extra costumes, and the 2 extra episodes were, I think, another $5 or $10, if I'm not mistaken. I remember actually buying them individually as they came out too.
Okay, that did not work out. When I Googled it, I got $5. That doesn't seem correct.
They've probably been on sale a million times since 2015.
Well, yeah, that's what I figured. But I was just trying to figure out what the hell the price would have been. Yeah, no, Mario's right. It was $40 for everything. Fucking weird.
Jeez.
Dude, I bought this game like all my other games I've told you guys about like several different times, digitally and physically.
I mean, I have bought
because
of this too.
I think I bought like maybe 6 or 7, only because for the PS5, for the PS4, and then at the time the 360 and the different copies I had because I kept losing them.
Oh, and this is also the first game where Claire, Allison Cord is not Claire.
Really?
Resident Evil. Yeah. They already, because they changed, she's in the Degeneration movie, but then by the next time she shows up, which I don't remember what it is, even though we watched all those movies, she's not, it changes it. They change actresses.
Does anybody?
She doesn't come back until Death Island, actually. She's literally, it's Degeneration, and then it's this, and then it's Death Island, and that's it.
I think.
Wasn't she in a Netflix series?
Oh yeah, the Infinite Darkness.
The one before really didn't happen.
Yes, Infinite Darkness.
Those were all post Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah, and they change actresses.
I don't know if it was this one or Resident Evil 2 remake, but I heard the story before, but I recently watched The Residents of Evil had an interview with Alison Court and Catherine Disher, who voiced Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 3 Classic. And I believe how Allison explained it was There was a company in Vancouver who pitched to Capcom to have the voice work done, and then there was another company in LA who pitched it, and Capcom went non-union because it was cheaper or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot more details than that. I'm kind of butchering it because I'm just trying to go off my memory. But she wanted to come back, but they just went in another direction, so she didn't.
Oh, that's shitty.
Yeah, I think Death Island is the farewell for besides Chris, because Chris is still in the current Resident Evil series, but I think Death Island is the farewell for the Jill, Claire, and Leon voice actors. 'Cause I remember Matt Mercer was like putting on Twitter where he's like, "Yeah, Dead Island's my last Leon Kennedy role, probably forever, because the new actor is pretty much up to date and everything." So yeah, that's it.
All right. I need to get caught up in Resident Evil stuff. Slowly. I want to. Whether it's good or not, I want to. But we should start this off with our memories. So I knew this game existed. I was curious about it. I had bought it for Xbox One, which doesn't work for me anymore. Mine died. Never got around to it. And then finally, it's on the show. So I played it the past weeks. Yeah, that's all I got. Joe.
I bought this for my Xbox One. I was pretty much my household was a huge Xbox thing just because, long story short, I got my first paycheck from the prison, which was hella beefy. And I basically went, "All right, babe, do you want a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One?" He's like, "Well, let's go see what kind of sales they have and we'll do it that way." And I went, "Okay." And I walked in, I was like, "What do y'all have?" And they go, "We have a regular PS4 or you can buy an Xbox One, which comes with Titanfall." And I was like, "Free game, I'm taking that one." So we're pretty much Xbox people for like the last couple of years. And then so we bought this for the Xbox. And then come to find out, this game's also multiplayer. So I played the whole game split screen with my husband, and that's probably the best way to play this.
Even the campaign?
Yep, the whole campaign is split screen, couch co-op. It's the best way to play this because if you just put all your points towards a sub character, there was literally a point in this game where I'm in one corner and my husband's in the other, and he's just killing enemies with just his crowbar, and I'm just knocking them down, and we're like, that was an easy fight. And we're like, well, maybe it's just a trick, but it's like, no, that crowbar does fucking damage.
Huh. Okay. And Blair.
Yeah, came at a point where I was kind of a little bit done with Resident Evil because I just didn't like the direction the series was taking.
That's fair.
And it's kind of indicative of this game because after I thought 5 was fine, and then 6 I never even played till well after the fact. And again, that was I played it with my former roommate and we had fun, but there was nothing that I was excited about. Because Revelations 1, I can't even remember if I played that one before this. Because the series does nothing for me anymore. It's just going in a place that I don't like. But then I kept hearing that this one kind of was more important. So after a while, I decided to download the demo and I gave it a shot. And I thought the use of co-op was the best in the co-op era because, as we'll get into, your second character is more than just another gun. There's actually a clever mechanic for each of the partners. So I like that hook. And then shortly after, I guess a year later, maybe even at E3, Resident Evil 7 got announced. And then I was kind of all in again.
All right. Nate.
I bought this game at launch because I love Resident Evil. And I also really like Claire as a character. And I bought the season pass with the extra episodes and everything. I was all in and played it. I believe it's only split screen co-op. I don't know if it has online, but I played it solo and had a time with it.
Okay. Joseph.
Yeah, I picked this up at launch as well on my Vita. I had always been a Resident Evil fan. Enjoyed the previous Revelations, so wanted to give this one a shot. And I remember, too, I was really excited they were bringing Barry back because he had only been in Gaiden, which isn't even canon anymore at that point. But remember, I enjoyed the game at the time, but like everyone's got to mention, time makes you remember things differently.
Mm-hmm. It does. And Mario.
I bought this the day it came out because just like I've always been, I was on a bender of Resident Evil back in 2015, right before an important time in my life. And this was, like I said, I bought it day one. I waited impatiently every day for the new episodes to come out. And I spent so many hours on raid mode from the first day I bought it till this day. I still play it, just enjoying the raid mode itself. And the story mode itself, too, is great. The mechanics are great, and especially how they implement two very specific mechanics I'll go into later. It's just I thought it was a great Resident Evil game. Maybe not a great horror game, but a great Resident Evil game.
All right. I mean, I think it's a good Resident Evil game. I don't know if I use the word great, but I had a good time. I mean, I get it. I know the Revelation series is supposed to be more horror adjacent than like what the main series had become at this point. Because this is the last Resident Evil game, because Umbrella Corp doesn't count, that came out after 6, before 7, when everything changes. And I know the sub-series was supposed to be way more horror, but I thought it was freaky enough.
Yeah, I think Revelations 1 is more like, or is scarier than this one. And even then it's not that, like, 1 isn't that scary to me, I guess.
For the most part, the main issue I have with the Revelations series, which I'll refer to it forever and always, they don't Revelation a lot of stuff. This one does so much more for just kind of a note you can find in Resident Evil 5, but it more reveals stuff from the first game, from the first Revelations than anything from the other games, and we are supposed to be getting one more. And I think Revelations is supposed to be away from the bring back characters, because there's been this really heavy rumor that they have a Resident Evil game in the works constantly called Code Outbreak, which they haven't revealed yet. And every year I'm like, I hope they reveal it, because apparently the rumor is that even though it's called Code Outbreak, it's supposed to be Revelations 3, and the main character is supposed to be Rebecca, and it's Rebecca's return because they've already done, even though the first one didn't really have anyone come back, it was still Jill and Chris back together with 2 new characters. And then this one had Barry finally come back. It also introduced his daughter. So they said that the new one, the Revelations 3, is supposed to be about Rebecca, and I'm hoping we get it at some point soon.
That got canceled. I don't want to be bearer of bad news, but that got canned. Yeah, no. What ended up happening was Village came out and was such a big success that Capcom didn't expect it. They took the Revelations 3 team and they made them make the DLC for Village, which is why all that DLC is in third person. It feels very much like a Revelations game and not like Village. So they did that, and then they made them all move to Resident Evil 9, which is supposed to be getting revealed by the end of this year, I believe, is the rumor going around.
Yeah, it's the rumor for right now.
Yeah.
Well, you're also forgetting, too, that we already got Revelations 3. Biohazard was Revelations 3. That's how it started out.
What's Biohazard?
Resident Evil 7.
7, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why.
7 and Village both started out as Revelations titles.
Okay, then become their own things.
Yeah.
Okay. And for this one, as we kind of mentioned, this brings back Claire and Barry. The whole game takes place on a random island. Like for Claire, it starts off as she's at a party, a Terra, whatever group she works with that's against bio.
Terra Save. How could you forget that memorable name?
Because Terra doesn't have to end the wrist.
No, I think the worst part of that is where it shows just like a bunch of like people in Africa, and like and it's like, oh, this is very much trying to show something, and it's like, oh, I don't like this at all.
I can't wait to play 5 again and see how racist that game is. I can't.
I want them to remake 5 and see how racist it is. That's going to be interesting.
It's not.
Oh, wait. Well, I mean, they sanded off the edges. I haven't played Dead Rising, but I heard they sanded off the edges pretty hard for that. So
Yeah,
it'll definitely, there won't be people in like grass skirts and masks with a note saying they reverted back to their old ways, like in 5, how they waved that stuff off.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that is something that happens in 5.
Different time. Well, 2005 was what, 2007 or so?
5 was 2009.
2009?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before Twitter took off.
Man.
It would not have survived Twitter.
No. Oh,
Someone would have posted a clip and it would have just, oh man.
since you mentioned Twitter, I'm going to say this really dumb thing that I have to say and tell somebody. So apparently I saw a thing on Facebook, which I do believe this is true, that after Joe Biden had posted something that said "Go Eagles" and Elon Musk had posted the same thing, Elon Musk was upset that Joe Biden got more likes than he did. So he had the engineers tweaked it so that way his stuff would be shown to everybody. And I was wondering, like, why the fuck am I getting Elon Musk tweets? And I finally just like blocked them because I got tired of seeing it. And that's why you would just all of a sudden get Elon Musk tweets, is because they changed it so everyone could see what he said.
Follow-up question. You're only blocking him now?
I just didn't bother.
That's like the first thing I did when he bought the damn thing.
I should have. But I was like, I mean, I don't use Twitter except to promote the podcast. I don't even look at Twitter, like, because everything is bots. Even if I look at a tweet to see what somebody said, there's an ad within the tweet. And I'm just like, I hate Twitter. I have it just because some people I talk to for this podcast is only through Twitter because that's just what they use. I hate Twitter's piece of shit. So okay. I felt that this game does hold your expectations to a certain way and like throws you off very quickly because like the fact that this game is broken up into 4 episodes, which doesn't really mean anything, but the way that first you play as Claire and Moira and then you play as Barry and Natalia, I think that does a good job, like especially the end of episode 1 when you find out it's 6 months later. Like that is so good the way they do that. Except for the fact that it makes it seem like Barry just found out it was 6 months later when he already knew it was 6 months later. But we'll get that. My only complaint. Because it wasn't just me, right? Like, it sounds like he just found out it was 6 months later when he sees the broadcast. It didn't seem like he knew it was 6 months later.
I thought he was more in shock when Natalia said Moira's dead.
Yeah.
And that's what he was reacting to.
Oh.
Yeah, as I think
Because
how I thought about it was he knew his daughter was missing, and then they found the recording, which he thought was recent, and then when he got there and found it, it was 6 months ago. I mean, that I could be wrong.
That makes
but
more
that's
sense.
Yeah.
My brain took it, well, yeah, I took it that way too, but I also took it that he didn't realize it was 6 months ago, but then Claire doesn't talk in that recording.
Yes, I think he said
does
something about
calmly,
6.
too.
Yeah, like 6
He
months.
says this
and shit.
Yeah, he just says that calmly. Just says this recording was dated 6 months ago. That's literally all he says. And then when she says Moira's dead, that's when he freaks out.
Okay.
Because her name was Moira.
But see, I have a problem with that. Because in episode 4, after you finish Claire's section, he's at the hospital with Claire.
Yes.
And she goes, sorry, Barry, I couldn't save her. Like, you know, and then you switch to Barry and he's like, I'm going to make them pay for what they did to my daughter. So, like, he already knows that Moira is dead. Like,
I think he thought she was still trapped on the island, which she was technically.
Mhm.
So he didn't know she was dead, and so yeah, I think Natalia confirms that she's dead, and he's like, well, fuck.
So was Clara in a coma for 6 months then? Because she could have just told him where the island was, right?
It
She
never
was taking
states how
pilot
long it
lessons?
took to get back from the island to the mainland.
Yeah, he could have been spent. It could have been a thing where he's gotten so in debt and investigating where it took him 6 months, and he's like, I don't want to hear from anyone. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to know anything. I'm just gonna spend 6 months looking for this fucking island and then go.
What were you going to say, Nate?
I was just making a joke. I said she was taking pilot lessons.
I mean, I was wondering that too, because when I did finish it and you find that she got rescued, like, didn't she, like, jump out? I don't even remember how this game ended anymore, because I beat this game, like, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Claire jumps into the water and Moira's crushed by rocks. And that's another issue I have with this game, is that the writing and the storytelling is so poorly done. There's no stakes. Like, early on, you find out that Moira and Barry have an issue because Moira and Polly, Barry's other daughter, were playing with a gun and Moira accidentally shot Polly. And it's like, damn, that's some heavy stakes. And then Barry is like, but Polly lived, of course. And it's like, oh, okay. So, like, why are you two fighting? Like,
Look. I'm gonna explain this as simply as I can, and it's the same thing with every Resident Evil game. If I walk into a Denny's and order a steak, I am not expecting a AAA style steak. Okay, I'm going to get something that's probably fucking cow ass. I know it's probably going to be okay at most. Will I have a stomach tomorrow? That's a risk I'm willing to take, but I know what I'm getting into. I never expect any writing to be good from Resident Evil, or even constant. What's worse is the movie memories bleed in my brain. So half the time, I don't even remember if I'm remembering it right.
And it's a thing about a long-running series like Resident Evil where it's such a weird thing because people who like it want to see their favorite characters come back, but at the same time, it's boring to see the same characters come back because there's only so many times you want these people shoved into these crappy situations. It's just like, I just want Claire Redfield to be at home with like a partner, just like, oh, I went to work today, like not, I got kidnapped again and got kept by like goopy monsters again, because they just roll it off like it's so mundane, which is why, as many issues people have with Ethan Winters, like at least it's back to someone who doesn't know what's going on, and the audience can kind of like be afraid again, as opposed to like Blair and Barry are just like, oh yeah, it's the monsters again. Shoot them in the whatever. Like, oh, it's Mondays, am I right?
You are right. Like that it does make sense to have different characters, because how often can you have the same heroes that have gone through this shit so many times? Be like, yeah, we know what the hell we're doing. Unfortunately, like,
And these people age in real time. Like, how old is Barry in this? Like, he has to be like pushing 60.
Yeah.
Also, I think he was like in his 30s in Resident Evil 1, which took place in 1996.
Also, welcome to the virus gang, where every single character is now somehow slowly virused up.
No, it's only the females. It's only the females.
Yeah, Rebecca infected from that one movie. Claire now has this virus in her. Jill was blonde at one point, but also still infected. Moira probably also still infected from that ending, which also doesn't make any fucking sense.
Wait, when did Claire get infected?
She's infected in this game. They're all infected.
Oh, from the fear thing. Okay, they're already infected. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, because when they're kidnapped, they're all put the little bracelets on that measure their fear, and they're all injected with a virus, right?
Also, even worse, we talk about how these games don't make sense. Fucking is it Alexia or no? Is it
Alex?
No,
It's
it's
Alex.
Alex.
Okay, it's Alex.
Yeah.
Alexia's a different Resident Evil game, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that's the other issue. But Alex Wesker is, subcontracting TerraSave, which is a bad name anyways, and we all joke about it. But you're telling me that bitch didn't go, oh, that's Claire Redfield, the chick who survived, since we're in Revelations 2, 3 outbreak scenarios, because you count 2, Code Veronica, and Degeneration.
Yep.
Just grab her. If you're so worried about someone not having fear, that's your best choice. You're having this whole scenario set up where you want to do a saw trap for her, and you literally have the best person there is. Dumb bitch.
Also, was Wesker's sister ever mentioned before?
No.
It's
No,
in
she
like
was actually mentioned
file
as a
in
man.
5.
No, not even. There was an A Wesker alluded to. At first, everyone thought it was someone named Alfred, but then in this one they said, "Oh no, it's Alex," because it started off with an AL, just like all the
Yeah.
other Weskers.
Because they
But he's
found
also
out.
Albert.
Yeah, because
What's that?
Wesker wasn't a person. Well, it just wasn't one person. It was a Wesker project,
Oh,
Oh,
God.
yeah.
which was
that's-
something that Spencer did. So there was like many of them, but I think only a few of them like survived or something.
There was
13 of them,
13
so
and 2 survived.
5.
When
yeah.
was that mentioned?
5.
Lost in Nightmares DLC, Resident Evil 5.
Yeah. You
That's
legit
why.
you legit find that note like right before you find Spencer dead by Wesker's fat meaty hands.
Yeah.
You see, I only played 5 once, and I barely paid attention to it because I played it with a friend with Infinite Rocket Launcher, and he just rushed me through it to get the achievements. And I have never played it since.
Well, that's the DLC we're talking about, the one where you play as
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Jill and Claire. I played that too, but it's been so many years, and I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't into Resident Evil as much like the story as I am now, or making a podcast where I actually pay attention and try to talk about it. So, okay,
I mean-
someday. Need to play 5.
I mean, it's okay. Resident Evil redigs up a lot of stuff that it forgets that it has. I think like 7 in like a throwaway note mentions like the FBC or something, which is the outfit that not this FBC. It's some other acronym.
No,
or something.
they're the ones that are in Umbrella Chronicles that
Yeah,
you play as in
and
one mission.
The organization.
Yeah,
because Revelations 1, like there's a bunch of, and that's the thing that I like, because this one is very much linked to Revelations 1 tangentially, but it feels more like it's part of the main series, but they still have to say things like, oh, you survived the Terra Grigia panic. I'm like, those are just made up words. And like I can't remember what FBC is and what Veltro is, because it's just organization after organization on top of organization. When once upon a time it was like, there's Umbrella, they're the bad guys, we have to like bring them down. And now it's like 50 million charities and sub-organizations and subcommittees and
There's so many organizations. There's literally a group just called the organization now.
That was one called the
F-
Family.
FBC stands for Federal Bioterrorism Commission, but nobody cares because Federal Bureau of Control is cooler.
That is true. Plus, I don't think their FPC even lasts long, because I think it's only Umbrella Chronicles 1 And then it's and then doesn't it? Then it becomes the BSAA by the time you get into Resident Evil 5.
Well, the BSAA, well, Umbrella Chronicles, I think it was the BSAA because they're the ones who do the storm on the. I can't remember. It's been like since 2008.
Same. I want to play Umbrella Chronicles again. By the way, I just haven't emulated yet.
Speaking of which, I found it.
Found what?
Umbrella Chronicles. I found it for the Wii.
Oh, I had it.
It's on the PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
most of them
but
are.
the Wii's better for it.
Oh,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
you have to have
on the
in order to
PS3.
play it, you have to have the move controller and the wand and everything.
Well,
No one has
not
those.
for. No. There's an option now for the PS4 and 5 where you can just use a regular controller.
Yeah.
That takes away a lot of that game, though.
Oh, it really
But
does.
so how do you play it then on the PS4 if it's PS3 game?
You just
No,
move
you
the
can
Ah.
you can use the controller on the PS3 version, and it's just the right. I think the right stick or the left stick aims.
you just aim, but it's like it's way
Yeah.
harder because like
and
in order to
it moves so slow. Sorry.
yeah, and to
Yeah.
play that game too, like it's not just shooting the enemies. You have to like scour the environment for like secrets in order to
Yes.
unlock stuff. From what I remember, I think
You're
right.
Dark Side Chronicles was like a little bit fairer in that regard, but I know Umbrella Chronicles was like you had to shoot at everything.
I remember playing it. I played a ton of that game with my girlfriend at the time, and I loved that game, and I have not touched it since. But I think about it. But I want to play with a mouse and keyboard because it'll be more fun that way. I can just click on things. So, but that's neither here nor there. It is nice that they do have zombies again in this game. I think there's zombies, right?
No, there is zombies. They are the rotted. That's what they're called.
And then you fight some other weird creations that Alex apparently is making on this island and experimenting on people.
The only reason why they're zombies is because the virus that's in this one is a variant of the T virus itself that activates only when a certain amount of adrenaline and some other toxin, some other chemical is introduced into the body from the brain. So that's why, like, whenever they mutate, they all contort like crazy, and then when they come back, they're all like zombies and stuff.
Wasn't that referenced in fucking the light gun game too?
Yes, it was a reference in.
Is that Dark Side Chronicles had that?
Yes,
No.
Yeah, because the girl that you're trying to rescue in that one has some like special virus thing.
No,
That's.
is that-
I think it's
that-
Veronica
she
because
has
like the
Veronica
terrorist
virus.
buys Veronica or something. Even though that doesn't make sense, as Veronica, you need to be frozen for 10 years for it to work. But
Wait,
And
Resident
then
Evil.
the reference this one makes is to Resident Evil 5, obviously, with the Ouroboros virus, which is what
Yes.
they experiment with the two viruses with in this one.
what's the one we did for the podcast, Mike? The light gun game for the PS2.
Dead Aim?
Yeah, I think
Dead Aim.
I don't think you were here for
references.
Dead Aim.
I was here for Dead Aim. Yeah, they reveal that but that's how they make tyrants is that they make a bunch of kids scared and they remove like a part of their brain and put it into a tyrant. That's why
That was
pain in the ass.
Survivor.
that's Survivor.
yeah, that's
Okay.
that's Survivor
Yeah, you
one.
were-
Yeah,
Dead Aim was episode like 60 something before we met.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Survivor.
Survivor
Then
we
is the
did
one
for
I'm thinking of.
PS1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Dead Aim is I think is like Resident Evil Boat, and it's Morpheus Duval, and it's the TNG virus, which makes him electrical ?
I don't even remember. I
Yep,
just know I
turns
played
him
it.
into a dominatrix.
yes, that's right.
I played it and covered it.
God
And
damn it.
I'll never play it again in my life. That's all I know. This game was fine. Like, I mean, they do have you retrek the same areas that you go with Claire and Moira that you then go with Barry. Like they do have you redo, but since it's 6 months later, it's a little bit more deteriorated. And there is some effect of what you do, but it didn't bother me. But I did pick up on that. I'm like, okay, it's the same. Like you're just retreading most of the same areas.
You can
For the
really
most part.
feel its budget because when I
Yeah.
think about the time this game came out in, like I don't think Capcom really knew what they wanted to do with Resident Evil because like Resident Evil 4 was this gigantic hit. And it was, they had to restart it 2 or 3 times. There's lightning in a bottle, and 5, which is really that again, only with co-op. And then 6 was trying to be something for everyone and ended up being something for no one, but it sold really, really well. So this felt like we're going to bring back somewhat of the tension because it does feel like it's still an action game, but they limit the ammo and like the other character is like a backup character and they have really had no way to defend themselves other than like the bricks and the crowbar. I think going back and forth, it gets a little bit old and then the monster design just gets tiring. Because you're really fighting like the same 3 or 4 monsters, and once you like point to the goopy bit and then shoot it once, it's interesting, but then by the end of it you're like, oh, okay, shoot the goopy bit, go on, fight the next one.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of enemy variation, which did get a little bit annoying in this. It wasn't really the same thing, except I did get invisible bugs at one point. Woohoo! I didn't like the fact that ammo was a lot less in this game, and then the inventory is would irritate me, but that's me not liking horror games. Also, there's crafting in this game for absolutely no reason, in my opinion. You didn't need to do it. Like, you could craft throwable, usable items that then distract your enemies or make explosive bottles, which I never did.
Or you could use those same resources to use it as healing items that could also clean yourself off from messing with
Oh,
the vision.
yeah. I did it a couple times.
Yes. But you kind of have like the hemostatic medicine, like in Dino Crisis, where like you're bleeding and then you need to like patch yourself up because you'll just take continuous damage over time. I kept forgetting the combination that made that one, so I just had like 50 million like wet wipes to like get stuff out of my eyes that I didn't need.
I dropped almost all that stuff eventually because I'm like, I just don't need this. Drop. I'd run out of room.
The bottles are pretty good, especially like because you fight the invisible bugs, which are intuitive with Natalia and Barry because she has the ability to see them, so she can tell you where they are. But eventually you fight those with Claire and Moira at the end, which is a monumental pain in the ass. But if you have like the smoke screen bottle, you can kind of see them. Or if you have a general idea, like I would just throw like a firebomb bottle and just torch them and run along.
I just didn't use them very much. I just didn't need to. He probably would have saved some ammo because I just shot everybody. But like early in this game, I felt like I was running out of ammo constantly. Then I got to a point where I felt comfortable and I just had tons of ammo, which I wasn't upset about. I like having ammo.
See, on those rags, I thought only the partner character could use them. So I just gave them all to them and they never used them. And I was like, I can't see, please. Like, Moira, please.
See, I had a really cool thing where like me and my husband were playing. So because he needed a weapon, he would only use the bottles. I basically like I used all the weapons they gave me, and it's like, well, do you want anything? It's like, well, I'll carry like one grenade, but if you need the rest of them, you go ahead and take them. And that's pretty much how we had it the whole game as well too.
I mean, they were there. I just would run out of inventory. Like, I would rather carry ammo, so I would start dropping bottles. And that's just how I play in games. I tend not to use throwable stuff like that a whole lot, unless the game is forcing me to. And this game wasn't making me. It didn't put me in situations where I had to. Sure, it would have been better, but it didn't make me. I also didn't really find a lot of I found some hidden items, but I almost never switched to Moira or Natalia. Which you need to do to find secret items. I mean, it is cool to have the two of them, where each character has another character that's with them. I mean, I just remember more, because I know that Barry had 2 daughters, because it's mentioned in Resident Evil 1, and Wesker's like, I got Umbrella's gonna shoot your kids if you don't do what I say. And then we find out it's all a lie.
I was almost always exclusively Moira because 1, that crowbar is OP as fuck. 2, that flashlight blinds them pretty quickly when you upgrade it. And 3, I forgot there was the other reason. No. Oh yeah. Unless something attacks you while you're down, Moira cannot die unless you're down and trying to get revived by your partner, or unless you're playing as Claire, then Moira gets hit as she's down. That is the only way that Moira can die. She cannot bleed out.
Oh.
Yep, only
cool.
Claire or Barry can bleed out. But Moira and Talia cannot bleed out and die.
Huh.
I was so annoyed. I played the DLC chapter with Moira, and I accidentally overwrit the flashlight with the second shotgun. So I was like, because I wasn't even using guns, I was just blinding enemies and then hitting them. And then I thought the shotgun was just going to overwrite the other shotgun. So then I had crappy shotgun and shotgun I'm going to use. And it made getting through the last part more challenging than what it had to be.
Those DLCs are fucking weird though.
Fucking hard, honestly.
Yeah, the Natalia one I played yesterday. We're recording this on a Sunday. And it's interesting because it kind of gets into the plot and exactly what's happening. But the pathfinding of some of the monsters, like I remember starting off and I was ducked behind a box and the monster was turned, I guess, I can't tell because of the monster design in this. I don't know what their face is. I was ducked behind a box and it was like, your scene, go back to the start. And I don't mind stealth. I hate get seen once, go back to the start stealth. That's where I draw a line.
Oh no, I've only ever beaten that episode once, and I've played this game so many times.
Mhm.
Hell no, I hate that little miss fucking episode. It sucked. Never again.
And then the
I
other,
never played them because I beat the main game and was like, I don't need to know more about this game.
they're kind of heavy story based, I guess. It's not really that important anyways. All Moira's is just her being like, I survived thanks to the old Russian man, and you have to like hunt animals to get more time and stuff like that. And then they have like a really dramatic moment where he like, because you find him dead as Barry, so he dies with Moira, and she's like, "Ooh," and then you have to like figure out how to beat the game by yourself or get out of there by yourself, and it basically just leads up to the true final boss fight if you got the true final boss fight.
It's kind of weird because Natalia's DLC kind of feels like it's more in line with the bad ending of the game, where she meets like her dark version of herself.
Well, it's just leading up to where she meets Barry. It's literally how she got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good ending or bad ending, like it's still heavily implied that she's possessed, I guess. And I guess
because they never followed up on it.
Just another dangling Resident Evil thread that they're never gonna pull.
Well, that's probably my only issue that I have, which I want to read back up in the story because the whole story is goofy as much. I do love it though. A lot of the Revelations games are really just like, hey, we have backup plans in case we don't know what to do with the main game. But then like 7 has another backup plan. Revelations 1 has a backup plan that goes nowheres. Revelations 2 has another one, which is like, oh yeah, we'll just keep it with Natalia. That way, in case if we want to go in the future, that'll be a thing maybe. And then 8 has like 3 fucking what if scenarios that are going on with the DLC. So I don't know. They're trying to plan ahead, but part of me is like, you guys. As much with the remakes coming out, part of me is just like, you guys just need to fucking end the series and just could do a full reboot.
Well, that's why again, like I think Resident Evil equated to how like Marvel Comics handles like, and I guess I not to single out Marvel, but Marvel and DC, how it's basically like Resident Evil 4 and 7 are effectively issue number 1s. Because Resident Evil 4 is Umbrella's gone, here's a new threat, you're learning as it's going, here's all you need to know, here's a new monster, new organization, new play style. So everyone, even though it's 4, it's effectively allowing new people to come in.
Yeah.
And 7 is the same thing where there's no legacy characters until like the very, very end. It's a new monster, new horror, new threat, new character. You have no idea what's going on. And then 8 is legacy characters, retcons, other things. And 9, I'm hoping it's going to be like another number 1 where it's another character, even though I guess the stuff in Village, which we'll get out in the show at some time, heavily implies that at least one character that I'm kind of tired of is going to be back again.
I'm assuming
Chris.
Yeah, it's Chris.
Yeah, Capcom
They should
needs
just
to
start
have
off by all the OG characters.
They need to have the threat of death, because like Chris Redfield is like the Daryl Dixon of this like series, and where it's like you've been alive for 15 years and people love you, even though I think Chris is like the least interesting Resident Evil character, and they keep bringing him back. Like I would rather see like Jill or Claire or anyone other than Chris again, but I guess he's like the face. One of them needs to break bad or die.
I like Chris, but that's because I'm a big gay.
I haven't touched Resident. Well, I never played past 7.
They have
only
an
one.
opportunity. They have an opportunity to kill off all the original characters and continue the stories of the children of those viruses. Because especially, I just thought about it again because of this one. There is literally 4 living beings that are somehow organically infected with viruses. So there's Wesker's son, there's Ethan's daughter, there's Sherry Birkin, and then now there's Natalia. Get rid of the old
Sherry wasn't
characters
6.
and
Yeah, she is.
No,
Sherry wasn't
I know,
She
but I'm
is.
saying like get rid of the old characters and just continue with these. There's something they can do with there, especially with Sherry's healing stuff. Oh well, that's why she's not getting infected with everything else. There you go, boom.
To be fair,
It's there's a solution right there.
I forget Jake exists like at any moment until someone brings him up.
I think
I think they
Capcom forgets
forget.
he exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they care.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mortal Kombat X, where it's okay. Here's like Mortal Kombat kids, and it's like Jax's kid and Sonya's kid and other kids.
God,
and
yeah, they moved on real quick from
Mortal
that.
Kombat 11's like, time travel shenanigans. Scorpion, Sub-Zero are back. We don't need these people. And then Mortal Kombat 1's like universal-wide multiversal retcon nonsense. It's none of the kids are back. Here's just your old favorites again.
Well, I mean, you do get the kids back, but then you kill them instantly.
That doesn't really count, does it?
But I mean, you have like things like the last CG movie, which Infinite Darkness was the terrible Netflix one. Death Island was the last one.
Yes.
The reunion.
Where it's pretty much like every single Resident Evil character, and they're just like, oh, monsters, and they're flipping around like it's a goddamn Matrix. And there's like no threat of them dying, especially considering this is like a side project, and it would be like a WWE wrestler losing the belt in like a house show in like my home province and not on Raw or a pay-per-view. Like
That was a good comparison.
yeah, so you're gonna turn on Resident Evil 9 and it's like, oh, we gotta like avenge Chris's death, and you're like, wait, where did Chris die? And there's a thing in the corner like a comic that says see Death Island, click here to like stream on Amazon Prime or something.
But see, that's where like my frustration with this game came through, is that it's called Revelations and nothing happens. Like nothing was revealed to me. At least stuff, I mean, sure, okay, Wesker has a sister, great, but like there's no stakes. Like, and that was just frustrating to me. Even like replaying it, I was like, oh, Moira dies in this. That's interesting. And she just comes back. I'm like, no, stop. Like, stop. Let someone die and like, let's have the characters handle it. Okay. Like, it'll be fine. Like, nobody's met Polly. You can say she died in a freak shooting accident by her sister, and that's why Barry and Moira don't talk. That's interesting character development. But to just be like, Polly lived, of course. It's just like, come on. Like, let something happen to these characters that they can grow from. And I understand that that's Resident Evil, and like, I love Resident Evil, but like, eventually we got to start like, you know, having some stakes. We got to start moving on.
I had thought that they were gonna tell me that she was dead. That's what I thought had happened. Like, I had thought that Moira, when they were talking about the gun thing, that she killed either the sister or the mother, and that's why she hates guns.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then, like,
she's alive.
Like, yeah,
you're right.
Like,
why not?
Like, so why are they mad at each other? Like, you know, like
because you had guns in this house. I guess
she blames Barry for it not being safer for them as kids.
Also, like, depending on, so she's what, 18? Let's say, right? Moira is.
Let's go ahead and say she's 18.
Yeah. 18
years ago was already after all Resident Evil 1 and 2 had happened. No wonder the guy has guns in the house, even though he's already a gun nut. But like, would you not want to have? If you went through that and you know who did it, and you know it's a powerful corporation, like, you'd have guns in your house.
It's just a very goofy thing for it to just cause drama, because even though she's 18, she's very much a young adult is being dumb things. Because I acted like that at 18 when I barely knew my parents and hated them for no stupid reason. And then now, being a 30-year-old man, I would grab my 18-year-old self by the throat and be like, you listen here, you little fucking shit.
I think with the revelations in this, it's the introduction of the second Wesker, and kind of, I guess, that there was something else in the Spencer legacy, because I found that stuff more interesting than any of like the like mutated Derek or whatever the hell was going on in Resident Evil 6 and the Terra Grigia panic nonsense was in the first Revelations. Like, I honestly don't remember anything about that other than they're on a boat.
Underwater city, go kaboom.
The third Resident Evil game on a boat was a Gaiden, Dead Aim, this.
Yes.
There had to be another one. But anyway, I guess, and what they wanted to do was they got rid of Wesker, and Wesker was like the big bad. So it's almost like, again, using a comic book analogy, it's, oh, we killed the Green Goblin, but what if there was another Green Goblin, and then they get rid of this other Green Goblin? But it's like, well, if we need to pull a ripcord to get another Wesker back, then it can be like young girl resurrected Wesker, and the marketing is the Wesker legacy continues, and Resident Evil like 47, like in Mega Man Legends 2 or whatever.
Doesn't that go into the problem we just had where we're tired of all these old characters coming back? Wouldn't it just be better to do a clean slate entirely? Get rid of all the connections.
So that is why 7 is like the best reboot ever.
I agree.
Yeah, seven's really good.
I still haven't finished it.
So there's parts of it because I want to go over the story a little bit, which is basically just like Claire working for. Which honestly, if I had survived the zombie apocalypse, I wouldn't go back to trying to help. I would be at home working from my computer at a stay-at-home job because at least worst case scenario, it's there's a zombie apocalypse happening. It's a good thing I'm hunkered the fuck down. But Claire works for an biohazard terrorist that's funded and whatever and blah blah blah. It's not funded by the government, so they get fucking kidnapped, which also makes me wonder why you're also other worst case scenario, if you live in this universe, be strapped at all times because anything could happen. Is at least
they get betrayed is why they're kidnapped.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, give example, if I live in that universe, hey honey, we're going for dinner. Oh, okay, cool. Let me get my handgun, my knife, and my fucking lockpick set. Because in case we go to Olive Garden and the fucking place becomes Biohazard Central, I'm not risking that ever again.
I mean,
I guess,
the PTSD, but yes, would she be?
To that point, like, I guess it's like Rebecca mentions it in Resident Evil,
the movie.
I can't remember the name.
It's fine.
One where he's like, she's the spitting image of the dude's wife.
Damnation.
Damnation.
Vendetta?
Oh, Vendetta. Okay.
Oh, Damnation's the second one, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
Yeah, I forgot
terrible.
about Vendetta.
There's an episode about it. I was blind at that day. Terrible.
Where Rebecca says, we all help in our different ways, and Chris is like the sword and I'm the shield, and it's kind of, I guess, the same way with Claire, where she's like working for nonprofits and organizations that kind of stop this stuff from happening, getting funds to the right people so they can rebuild, and Chris is the one with the guns out in the field, like taking care of people. Like, people get kidnapped in this damn series all the time. Like, Rebecca is just working at a university, getting a coffee, and then people come after her. So, like, nowhere's safe for these people.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great life.
So
not a world.
What is it? Claire gets kidnapped and blah blah blah. You had that whole first episode with it, and Barry, which Barry's that does the one thing that everyone should fucking do, which is my best opinion, where Barry shows up on a boat and he meets a little girl, but Barry is thankfully stacked. He has his fucking samurai edge. He has a fucking magnum. He's got an assault rifle. He probably should have bought more ammo. He should have been fully stacked with ammo, but that's whatever. But I am glad that the game kind of does this A and B thing of where you kind of go through the same area as Claire and Barry, and that it's a little different. The same Barry's enemies are a little bit older and decayed and stuff like that, and you have all the different aspects that Mora does her thing and Natalia does her thing, and I think a lot of it's just pretty cool. But the story stuff of it is weird because you have Claire's story being them trying to get out of there, and then there's the introduction of the fear virus that if you get too scared, it'll transform you. But if you get too scared and don't transform, was it the overseer they refer to as until they figure out who she is? I don't even think Claire and Moira figure out that she's Wesker. I think
they do. They
okay.
find her in episode 4. They confront her, and Moira makes a comment how she wants to shoot her in the face, essentially. Or she wants to kill her.
Yeah, she kills them herself in front of her, and in Code Veronica's defense, Chris did go to the island stacked, but his duffel bag fell off his shoulder whilst climbing that cliff.
That's fair too, yeah. But that's probably my favorite story beat of all, where they meet Alex Wesker, and she's like behind a big glass, and they're like, "We're gonna kick your ass." She goes, "I don't think so. I've already figured out what I'm gonna do," and she just shoots herself in the head. And they're like, "Well, I guess we can go home now."
I kind of like the it's a lot like Resident Evil 4, where you kind of figure out the puzzle of what happened to the village before you got there, where it was just these people living in peace, and then the cultists came in and kind of wormed their way in just using like religion, and this was economics, where it was these people living on this island, and they were poor, and then Alex Wesker came in somehow flush with cash, even though Umbrella's gone and Trisol's gone, so I don't know who's bankrolling her. So she basically like brings the mine back to life, gives them jobs. So there's notes about people saying how grateful they are that the jobs are back and life is back. But then you get to the end, and of course, like, you know, we're half a mile underground, and it's like, well, we got to get all this imported marble to build another mansion replica down here. Like, I don't care how much it costs. Like,
Yeah, I didn't understand why you all can go to a mansion at one point. I'm like, but why?
it's the tick box. It's kind of trying to bring back that, you know, they went off the rails in 5 and 6, and it's like, oh, here's a Wesker who's a villain. Here's a mansion again. You gotta go get a crest at some point. Like, hey, it's the member berry. Like, shove them down your throat. Remember mansions? Remember Wesker? It's a girl now, so I guess this is woke Resident Evil.
Oh, you reminded me of something that this is not Resident Evil related, but I saw somebody post about the new Zelda game in a Zelda group. I'm like, man, I really want to play it, but that game looks woke. And I'm just like, what the fuck, people?
She
play
gets
as
out
a
of a
woman,
bed
so the
at some
game
point.
is woke. Mm-hmm.
I said, because she gets out of a bed at some point. Is that why it's woke? Because she has a bed?
Yeah, I was just like, why? So I did a laughing react to his comment, and then when I looked at his profile, there was like nothing there, and I'm like, this guy even real, or is this just a Russian bot trying to push the whole woke thing?
It's probably that.
It's,
Oh,
It's Elon
or
Musk.
just a
It's one of his
person
fake
who just
accounts.
starts an account. But anyway, like, it's...
I just don't get it. I will never get it.
On the performers, I should have marked down who does the voice of Barry in this, because that performer does an exceptional job of doing a voice match to 96 Barry. Like, to the point where it almost sounds like the same person.
I thought it was the same person because it's really good.
Yeah.
Also,
I don't think so. And that's like kind of another point that Allison Court brought up, where it's like for Japanese properties, like they basically never change actors as long as they're alive. But like for the translations, like unless you're David Hayter, well, I guess he got overwritten for 5. But like you kind of have job security for a long time. I guess Charles Martinet is probably the best example for Mario.
Why did
But
he
David Hayter said that every time a Metal Gear Solid game was coming out, Kojima made him re-audition.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like he never had the role.
Well, because
He
Kojima
always
wanted a movie star.
Yeah.
He didn't want him.
He wanted Kurt Russell. He wanted Kiefer Sutherland, even though they have no value add whatsoever. But like that's another conversation.
People being dumb. That's just what it is.
funny enough, the one thing that I really do also like about this is because they knew they were putting Barry in this game, and Moira is a child of Barry. And I love just every comment where it's like, okay, so we know Resident Evil 1 existed. We're going to make fun of every single fucking joke that we've had from that game. Because you always have the fact of where, like, I think it's like in the first episode, Claire almost gets fucking smushed, and she goes, I was almost a Claire sandwich. And Moira's like, will you please stop? I'm so fucking sick of that fucking joke.
Yeah, it's like, does he tell everyone that story, I think is the line or something.
Yeah, that is the line.
I would.
See, again, it's the member berries. And that's the one thing I will give Welcome to Raccoon City credit for. I love the Jill sandwich line in that movie.
I don't remember the Jill sandwich line in that movie.
She's eating
She
a sandwich.
steals a sandwich from Wesker. She's like, it's Jill's sandwich now, or something like that.
Exactly.
She has to like shoot the dart off someone's head or something.
Leon.
I know a guy who has that dart gun.
God, I saw that movie and I don't remember anything about it.
I only saw half of it on a plane with no sound, with no captions either. So
I also
Coming
saw
to
that.
games my mom found in 2026.
maybe Ken wants to do it. Ken has said, like, Ken has no interest in any of the Milo Jovovich movies. He's like, you do Welcome to Raccoon City? I am there.
We got 2 Alice movies to get through yet.
Yeah, and we still got Death Island to do in Infinite Darkness, so there's stuff.
I also don't watch that movie and don't remember anything from that fucking movie. And the only thing I remember from that movie is, oh, look who it is. If it isn't Leon S. Kennedy, what does the S stand for, stupid? And he looks at them like he's fucking hurt. It's like,
I don't want to watch that movie. Looks awful, but
Wait, did they have Lisa Trevor rip a liquor in half in that movie?
Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
probably.
They pull the Alice friend Nemesis thing again with Lisa Trevor, how she's like a secret ally.
Okay, but at least in this movie, though, at least this one actually kind of makes sense. Because Claire was the only one nice to her as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
wait, Claire's in that movie too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they combined
mix-
the first 2 games together.
yeah.
I forgot. I watched part of that movie. I don't even remember Claire was in that movie. Damn.
They also do a really weird
She's
thing
the
where
lead.
they make Chris and Jill orphans for some reason. Not Jill, Chris and Claire orphans for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, they
They
were
were
adopted by Birkin or something.
I mean,
Yeah.
they are technically, like Claire says to Sherry, I think, at least in the remake, where she's like, it was just me and my brother for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're on our own when she's trying to, like, console her. I don't know if it's in classic or not.
It's in classic. It's alluded to.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know who it is. I'm very specifically going to like take a actual. I'm not saying for real internet. Don't take me seriously on this, but whatever. I'm gonna take a fucking replica Samurai Edge and shoot someone in the dick at fucking Capcom for keep trying to make Claire like just have a really sad backstory. Because I have 2 nickels for every time she likes a guy and the guy ends up being fucking dead, and it's like she's like, oh, I feel bad, and it's like, why? There's no point to this.
Are you bringing up Chelsea's crush, Steve from Code Veronica?
Well, in this too, whatever that guy's voiced by Yuri Lowenthal.
Who ended up being the villain?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
remember there's a there's 6 people in this chat right now, and maybe one other person has seen the 1997 Norm Macdonald comedy Dirty Work.
Never heard of it.
I've heard of it.
it's- he calls a guy and it's like, oh, Neil, is that you? And then Norm Macdonald in his dry voice is like, yeah, it's me, Neil. And that's what I thought when that guy showed up. And I wish I could have found that clip. I went looking for it, but I couldn't find it. What is that nickel thing from? Because it relates to something that happened in my province over the past year.
Phineas and Ferb, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
Phineas
what I
Ferb.
thought it was.
I won't derail the show by explaining why, but we'll talk about it after.
Okay.
I hate Neil.
We all hate Neil. He's stupid.
Yeah, and all of those Terra Save guys in episode 2, like when it starts and that guy, they're running from the afflicted or whatever, and the guy is like, my life's awesome as balls. It's like,
I know.
shut
Is that
the
like
fuck
a
up.
coping method? Is that
What?
Sam?
Yeah,
And what
like-
about Sam Riegel too?
My life is awesome as balls. Oh, okay. That's something to say there. But I guess
Yeah.
you're supposed to feel sorry for them that they're in this situation and they're going to be murdered because
no, I was
know
glad to
he's-
see that guy.
He's just like
change.
trying not to be angry or afraid. He's like, oh yeah, I'm getting chased by monsters, but like, isn't life great? Please don't change.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
they all die. Well, no, he gets in the helicopter and the helicopter gets destroyed later on.
That's Gabriel,
Bro.
not Pedro.
Okay, 'cause I know one of them. Okay, yeah. 'Cause I remember the one guy ends up morphine, and then you find him 6 months later when you play as Barry, and you have to kill him to get his drill. Then you can finally break open some of those doors.
Oh, you can kill him as Claire. It's
You can-
incredibly
yeah.
difficult, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that is something I did want to bring up. That this one actually does do 2 mechanics from the older games, both Zero and Resident Evil 2, which is doing one thing in one campaign affects the other, but also from Resident Evil 0, where you actually do have to rely on your partner, whether it's AI or controlled, because they actually have their own unique sets, like you guys said earlier. And you can't just like, muscle through it like you could in Resident Evil 5 with the co-op or 6 with the co-op. In this one, just like 0, you actually needed to either use or have someone use the companion character.
And that's why I think this one makes for a better single player experience than like 5 or 6. Because I've never played this co-op. I've never played the raid mode, so I can't talk about that at all.
The raid
But-
mode is so much fun.
But by
You get
playing
anime powers.
by playing by yourself, like I remember playing with 5, and like Sheva is just wasting bullets and hitting nothing, and it's so frustrating. Like you have to play that game co-op. 6 is a lot fairer when it comes to that, because basically you can just like wrestling move your entire way through that game. But like for this, where it's like you have Moira, so you can like, okay, blind the not executioner guy, then hit him, and then basically do like the double stab. And like Moira being able to, or Natalia rather, like Barry's partner, because she, as it's the revelation, is that she's the new potential body for Alex, so she can see like enemy weaknesses and invisible bugs. It makes it easier for Barry. I wish you were able to, because in the DLC you can kind of like mark and execute things, but you can't do that in single player. That would have been really helpful.
I will say I did like fighting the invisible bugs and having to switch back and forth between Natalia and Barry. I thought that was
You don't have to.
tense.
You can
So
point
you-
the gun and she'll tell you if you're pointing right or not.
That
So
is very true.
So in co-op, I stand over my husband, who is a small girl, and then I just kind of try to guesstimate where that fucking thing is at.
Yeah. It got to a point where I just took out the machine gun and just started shooting in a circle until I hit something. Because I was like it's a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and I'm flicking back, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna throw a bottle and like kill the damn thing.
Did you guys unlock the Chicago typewriter, by the way?
Yes.
No.
I didn't.
No?
The sound for it is so bad. Like I don't know if it's because I put like an extra fire rate thing on it, but it was just like but so loud. I was like, I can't use this.
Well, that's the one thing that I didn't like about this is that like when I replay Resident Evil 4, I never play from New Game Plus because I find it boring to go through with superpowered weapons. And in this, the only way to start a new game like at 0 effectively is to at a system level delete your save file. Because if you start new game, it doesn't say, do you want to continue on with your old weapons or do you want to start fresh? Like I started this because Mike was in the chat talking about having no ammo. But when I started chapter 1 with Claire, like I got out of the jail cell with a shotgun, a magnum, a machine gun, and a handgun with like 100 bullets. And
Really?
and they were like powered up. So basically it was literal zombie rules where a regular enemy would come in and I would shoot him in the head once and they would fall down and die.
Because you were playing New Game Plus, essentially.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I've never experienced that for this game.
Never
Because you
played.
have all your upgrades too, which
Well, yeah, no. Like, every time I've restarted this game, I've never had anything carry over from a previous save. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just
Have you played on different systems each time?
actually. Wait a minute. Sometimes yes. Hang on.
He's like, maybe that's a secret.
I'm like, wait a
Yeah,
minute. Hang on. No, because I've played it again. I've played it on 5 different consoles and obviously within the span of 3 different gaming generations. So yeah, probably.
I've only played this on PlayStation 4 and I played this on PlayStation 5, but I mean it's just PlayStation 4 again.
Because keep in mind, this one, the reason why I say 3 generations, because this one also, just like Revelations 1, was also at the tail end of the Xbox 360, which is why it's only on the 360 and not the PS3. Because you can play
It's on the
it
PS3.
on. Is it? I've never
Yeah,
played
it's on the
it.
PS3.
Because I remember playing it on the Xbox 360 Slim, the weird slanted one, but not the PS3. But either way, like I said, it's on the PS3 and 360 and 4 and 5 and 1 and S and all that stuff.
And
So
Switch.
yeah,
If that's
and
what
the
I played
Switch,
on.
yes, I played it on that one too. So yeah, probably okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've probably just played it on different consoles and not obviously carry saves over.
I mean, if it was on Vita, it probably definitely came with like a code or something because I know they did that for a while. I forgot this was on Vita.
Yeah, that was an experience playing that back on the Vita back in the day.
I played it on the Steam Deck, but because I was a cheap bastard 2 years ago and I bought the 64 gig, I had to install this to the memory card, so there were times when the game didn't run great.
Yeah,
And I was like, fucking A, do I regret that decision?
3, 4, Windows 360, 1, Vita, and Switch. So this is on like literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now coming to the iPhone 16.
And it had microtransactions too.
Does the Vita version have touchscreen stuff?
Yes, it does.
Cool.
Ugh.
I regret never playing Vita. Vita has a Silent Hill game I have to play someday, unfortunately.
You
No,
can skip
you
that
don't.
one.
No, I
You can
can't.
just skip it.
Get it on the PlayStation Store before it shuts down. That's how I got it.
Well,
Just,
I'm going to play it a different way, sir, when
yeah.
I can.
Yeah, that's
I'm just going to
probably the best
emulate
way
it
to
when
put
that day comes, when the Vita... I'm sure Vita emulation exists. I've never seen it, though, but I've also never really looked that hard.
Which Silent Hill are we talking about?
Book of
The
Memories.
Book of Memories, the way forward
Yes.
one, the dungeon crawler.
Is that not on PS Premium?
No.
No.
Because the thing
Vita
about Vita
exclusive.
games, because I constantly wondered about, because I know they had the PlayStation TV console where you can effectively play Vita games on TV with a PlayStation 3 controller. And I mean, one of the selling points for that would have been Golden Abyss, the Uncharted game. And then I got a Vita last year. And that game is so gimmick heavy. There's no way it would ever work on like you would have to like basically remake the game from the ground up, which I'm assuming they don't want to do because I mean it's not a fart that Neil Druckmann wants to smell.
I don't know. Sony loves, remaking their 3-year-old games, so who knows?
Hey, they
like
love remaking
their prestigious Palme d'Or thrill-like games.
a few times too. So
It's not like the PS3 era where it's like we need something to pad out our catalog. Let's like port all these PSP games to PS3 that no one are playing.
yeah, I have. I don't know. I want to play a Vita. I want to mess with that someday, but I just don't know if that will ever happen.
It's a great little machine. I miss like handheld games from that era where it's something that's designed for a handheld as opposed to handhelds now that are just consoles where you're getting console games. Like that's cool in its own rights, but like I miss like a dedicated handheld where we're going to design a game like Loco Roco that's a 15-minute like chunk game that you can play while you're waiting. I guess that's what phone games are now, but most of them are just hot garbage, or you have to like to haul off your OtterBox to like put on a backbone or something, which and just wears out the already terrible batteries.
Or you just play a card
maybe
that has Marvel characters. How about that?
No.
Maybe that's why I enjoyed Revelations.
It's funny is I have that
1.
installed too, and I'm still not touching it.
Maybe that's why I enjoyed Revelations 1 so much, is because like I played it on the 3DS and the episodic structure of it, even though like the full game was there, it made more sense because it's like, cool, I'll just blaze through like this 1-hour episode and then I'll turn the game off. Where like this one, I think I played 1 and 2 and then I just waited for the last 2 episodes to release. Just so I could sit down and play them all at once. And
because some of the chapters are short, but some of them, like I mentioned in our chat, like the last Barry episode drags on for so long.
Yeah.
And like the Claire finale is like, it feels like it's 20 minutes, and then Barry's feels like it's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, if they had shortened it up, maybe spread it across like make a 5th episode. I don't know. Maybe it would have felt better.
It was too short
through all, but
Claire's was too short for episode 4.
Yeah,
just in the way that how each one is. I'm like, what? This is that old? I mean, I wasn't complaining really because I was kind of ready to be done with this game.
Yeah,
but I was like, I was just surprised that it was as quick as it was. So it's not fun. Like I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm done with the game already. But I'm like, this just seems faster than I expected.
I think the same is good. It's just the budget and the recycling kind of makes it like a little bit tedious because you are like, it's a creative use of the same areas and you're doing different things, like the crane puzzle at the end with Barry, for example. That's a cool little thing.
Yeah, that's a fun puzzle.
But it's just like you're going through the same areas, you're fighting the same types of enemies. Like it just gets a little bit old after a while. But I think that's because this was never meant to be the next Resident Evil game. It was just, we have to keep this brand alive. How do we do it? Let's experiment with this like sub-brand thing.
Also, they missed their chance to bring back Revelation 1 fan favorite, Jackass, I believe his name is.
What?
Oh,
There's really bad... What's that?
I can't remember. I'm trying to remember his name. Hang on. Let me look it up.
I thought it was Jackass, is it not?
No, his name is not Jackass.
I'm 90% sure that guy's name. No, their code names are Jackass and something else.
Oh, those guys that were in the winter.
Yes.
Okay, I know who you're talking about now, yeah.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
That's because they're awful characters.
Yeah, it's like all the characters. Like I remember.
Oh, in Revelations 1, the 2 idiots that...
Isn't the one like a stalker?
Yes.
Yeah, they're both kind of creeps, and then you have like the girl basically who is like thirsty for Chris with like her eyes covered up. It's supposed to be like an angel.
It's Quint and Keith. That's their names.
There we go.
Quint
yeah,
and
but
Keith.
one does... Okay, I remember now. It's been 2 years since I played Revelations 1.
Yeah, that part was bad.
That game was good, though.
So, the main thing that Mike didn't get to experience, I'm hoping everyone else did, there's a bad ending for this game that you could...
I experienced a bad ending.
Yeah, and you could totally fuck that up and have to redo a boss fight to get the good ending, which is also equally hard.
Yeah, I did not like how they made you decide the ending without... I don't know, it seemed a little abstract without giving...
I I've never experienced the bad ending, but I just was reading it a second ago. I think the bad ending sounds a lot more interesting.
It is, but also it kind of leaves one answer question in that ending too, and that's what happened to Claire on that version of the ending, because you never see her after she escapes from the facility if you get the bad ending. All you see is that Barry sees her in the hospital, and that's it. You don't see her in her little Ada Wong wardrobe copy helicopter part.
Yeah, and
Seriously,
for a girl
is it just me?
who
Is that she
always
literally
has a
copied
pony.
Ada's suit 6.
Yeah,
I legit thought it was Ada both times I played this game.
She even has
I
Ada's
was
hair.
like,
I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They brought Ada back.
and you
fucking
have
love that
hair,
outfit.
and you always have your hair in a ponytail, and you're in a helicopter, and you're using a sniper rifle. You're not worried about your hair, like, or your fringe, like, blowing over, like, the scope while you're trying to aim.
And the red button-down shirt with the tight black pants. She straight up stole Ada's. She pulled a Lando when he stole Hound's outfit at the end of Empire.
Maybe she's an Ada clone.
That's
Oh
good
God, let's not
thinking.
bring that story back.
Please, can we do it? Please, can we make that canon? It'd be funny.
So we should say what the endings are. So like with Claire's, depending on if you're like me and fuck up, you fight a boss, which is the guy from Terra Save that essentially screwed you all over. You fight him, he mutates because he gets infected with the Ouroboros virus, whatever the hell it's called. Yes, I know I said it wrong. And then you fight him, and you're supposed to let it to where you don't hit the buttons like the game tells you to, and let Moira wait long enough so then Moira will grab the gun. Which I
Yeah,
did
so
not do.
Claire's pinned down by Neil, and then it's two people can reach for the gun. And now I have that song from Chicago stuck in my head. So Claire can reach for the gun. Okay. And then Moira can reach for the gun. And if Moira does it, she overcomes her fear. And then you have like the good ending. But if Claire does it, and that's what I find interesting, is Moira dies. And then
I think she dies either way, it looks like it.
No.
No, good ending.
If
She's
he
surprised.
grabs the gun
Oh.
and she saves Natalia at the end.
Oh,
If
she
Claire
doesn't get...
grabs the gun, she dies under the rubble.
Okay, because I got in the bad ending, what I saw is I saw her go under the rubble.
That
yeah,
happens
she
there-
goes
before.
under the rubble either
there-
way. It's
the-
just
There's a bigger problem though, is that either way, whether she grabs the gun or not, whether she dies or not under the rubble, we see her wristband flashing. Either way, was she not supposed to mutate?
That's a
I thought
question
she was
for
gonna
another
die.
game.
I guess her big fear was of guns, but then she overcame that trauma, so she wouldn't mutate? Question
But-
mark.
Or
But
was
either
she
way,
still-
though, because when she was buried, whether she gets the gun or not, she's buried alive for a little bit, and her wristband's flashing under when she's
since
under some rock.
the base is blowing up, would that just negate the trigger for the bracelet?
Well, no, the bracelet happens no matter what. It's just telling you, like, you're already infected. It's just the bracelet telling you, hey, you're transforming, which it did. But there's literally a note in the DLC that's just like from Moria where it's like, oh yeah, my bracelet changed and I never transformed. Oh well.
Well, that's
Maybe
some
Alex
bullshit.
lied and they weren't actually infected?
No, I think they're
Well-
setting it up for another game.
Yeah, it was like a big thought experiment too, because the whole point of, because I guess like the bigger overarching plot is the villain is another Wesker, she-Wesker, as Barry calls her, Alex, who's running this experiment because Spencer from Umbrella Corp, the big bad, was trying to be immortal, and then Wesker was also trying to be immortal, and then her thing was, well, they were both right, but they were going about it in different ways, and my way is I can transfer my consciousness into this other person using this virus, but like I have to find someone who is fearless effectively, and the subject is a girl who basically overcomes losing her parents during the giant terrorist action Revelations 1.
Alex also like dying from like a disease or something they kind of mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's something like that too, yeah.
That's why she pushes it further and starts to combine technology with the virus. And that's why when you find the notes towards the end, it says that Natalia still needs to be scared, but she's in a constant state of fear. That way when she does finally mutate, her mind's almost like empty, and basically it's in a weird way, kind of like when her mind's empty, her body will basically allow Alex's consciousness to fully download into her or some crap. Very much transcendence.
Because like, yeah, the Little Miss DLC is you're kind of in like an ethereal version of the map, and you have like an evil version of yourself, which you now know to be Alex's consciousness, basically trying to get her to let control or lose control so she can take over. Yeah, because she's looking for her bear Lottie, and then Alex, the dark Natalia, is like, just give up, let me take control, like, I know what I'm doing. And she's like, no, I can do this. And she's very headstrong, and like, I'll sneak around the monsters, don't worry about those. But she's not afraid of them. And then by the end, it's, you know, you may have won this round, but like, the war is not over.
Mm-hmm. But
so like, I was just
go
gonna
ahead.
ask, because I never played those DLCs, but like in the ending of, one could argue I could have skipped this game, but in the ending of the main game, don't they hint that Alex is taking over?
Yes, either way, good or bad ending, Alex is taking over. Either way.
Yeah.
Just that one happens faster than the other.
Yeah, I did like that little zoom up of her smirk. I was like, okay.
Her DLC is terrible. I couldn't even play the Little Miss DLC. I just watched a YouTube video because I'm like, this is garbage. And the YouTube video was also garbage. Like when I saw what he had to do, the video was fine, but I mean, like what they had to do, where you have to like literally stand next to a guy's foot. He turns around and you just run past him. I'm like, I like stealth, but not in games that aren't made for stealth.
Oh, Mike, if you ever play Village, you're gonna love the Rose DLC.
Oh, I hated it.
I will play Village at some point every year. I've been doing one Resident Evil, but I'm gonna try next year to knock out 5 and 6. But we'll see. We'll see if that happens. But I need to get this like this series had in an alternate dimension where this podcast didn't lose the original host. We would have finished the RE series by now. But because of the fact that I got full control because everybody left, that never happened.
I will defend 6. I think that is a very fun video game. It's a very bad Resident Evil. But
I liked it when I did it.
Yeah, it's
enjoy playing.
It's a fun co-op game. Yeah, like
I
played
it.
System. I played System Link with a former roommate because we bought a new copy for $10 on 360 and a used copy for $5. And we hooked up 2 TVs and we played at System Link, so we had like the full display and we knocked it out. But I think during the pandemic, I was going through all the Resident Evil games. And I went through 6 and I was playing by myself and I just got so tired of it. Like I just wanted to be over so bad.
Yeah, it's not a fun solo game at all. Leon stuff is fun solo.
Ada stuff's pretty good because that was designed to be solo.
Ada stuff's annoying. I hated it.
It's been too long for me to comment, but
I broke a PS4 controller broke the joystick because of how much waggling you have to do in that game.
Oh, you can skip it now.
You can skip it now? How do you do that?
You can skip it now. You can literally go to the setting and say, as an option, saying, oh, you don't need to do the Kutan events.
Oh my god, I might replay that sooner than I think then.
Yeah, because I can guarantee you won't. For me, it is 5 is not even on the schedule. I already got the schedule written till April. So I can tell you it might not happen at all next year. So don't wait for me if you're interested.
So since we're already done with the story, are we going to talk about raid mode and the anime moves you can do?
Yes, but I do want to finish up.
Because Leon has a straight up anime move that attacks people without touching them.
Leon.
He literally flexes and a freaking shockwave sends people flying. And then Chris turns gold. Sorry, go ahead.
Before we go to raid mode, just finish up Barry's story a little bit. I think did we talk about what happened with the good ending?
Kind of.
That she basically.
Oh yeah, that she shows up, and then Moira survived. The other DLC, the Moira's DLC, is just combat arenas where you have to kill X amount of people, and you have very, very limited ammo, and it's complete garbage. It just shows that the old guy that you see in one scene earlier rescued her, and that's why she's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have a mechanic where you have to hunt animals and that's your lives. Is when you die, it uses a life. So you just can't keep respawning until you're done. You actually have to keep grinding out kills. It's not that bad. It's just after a game of just shooting all these people, just going back and doing it some more. It's just a little bit longer, or just a little bit tedious. Yeah.
Well, I don't like not having ammo, and I don't like feeling helpless in a game like this. So it was just that stuff. But and then the thing like with Wesker, because when Alex Wesker shoots herself, that's when she becomes the monster that you then see in Barry's chapter, correct?
Mhm.
Yes, I think.
And Natalia is
the conceit is that she was supposed to die, and then her consciousness was going into Natalia, but at the very last second, she got afraid when she self-terminated. I think is that what happens?
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Huh.
And then I guess there's the ending that I didn't see where you have to fight the final boss again or something, right? A little bit, something.
Yeah, you fight mutated Wesker, and then she has you pinned, and then Moira comes and shoots her, and then you run out, and Claire comes with like a sniper rifle, so you're sniping from a helicopter.
Short hair.
Yeah, and then Barry, if you run into, like, she's chasing Barry, and she'll go into a cave, and you have to switch back if you're inside, and then eventually, in traditional Resident Evil fashion, you just whip out the rocket launcher and kill her.
I did want to,
Which is like Claire had that the whole time.
I know, to
She
leave
was
with
like-
it. You this is not your first rodeo.
Yeah, and she was like, "I'm gonna sniper Barry."
like come on now, you guys have. Well, I guess Claire didn't fight. Well, no, she didn't fight a tyrant. She fights Birkin and Code Veronica. No, Code Veronica fights a tyrant.
Yeah,
and fights a very, very terrible creature.
Depending on the scenario in Resident Evil 2, she fights a super tyrant, and someone throws her a rocket launcher, and you lose. Fires him, kills him.
But that wasn't the canon ending.
No, I thought you always fight William as
Leon
Claire. Yeah, Leon always
and-
fight. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't fight the super tyrant as Claire, except for on the original classic version of.
Yeah, but in like the canon version, that wasn't the canon version.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I don't know why I'm arguing canon in this series, but hey.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's talk about raid mode, please. I played one thing of it, went, oh, this exists. I got 2 achievements, and I was done.
Raid mode has an ability where if you pelvic thrust, it will kill enemies instantly. I have no idea how that works. Someone please explain that to me.
There's a taunt that Leon has once you get him up to a certain level. Like a special attack, it's literally him humping the air one time and sending a shockwave of enemies up to I think 5 and killing them instantly. Like
What?
just shockwaves. Yeah, literally it. And then Chris his taunt can turn him invincible, and his skin turns golden like Colossus for like 10 seconds.
Raid mode is just a bunch of different little missions, right? That you just do.
It's an
it's
easier
the mercenaries
version.
mode.
It's an easier version of mercenaries mode. It's literally that, like with abilities you can add, and it's fun, especially when you have like a partner and you're doing like the super hardcore levels, like the Omega levels. Oh fuck that! It was so much fun.
I only did the first level, and it was very, very small and contained. I didn't like it.
And then there are different versions of maps from Resident Evil 5 and 6.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the Leon
Yeah,
that you're
like-
playing as. I'm watching a scene. The Leon you're playing as is the Leon from Resident Evil 6, which is weird to see.
Yeah, you could play as Claire, Leon, Jill, Chris, Rachel infected, and Rachel not infected from Revelations 1, the blonde chick, and Chris, and Piers, and the other characters from Revelations 1. But like the mainline characters from Resident Evil have special abilities. Like Wesker has like super powerful punches, and after you reach a certain level, you become literally a Matrix type character, and your melee weapon is now a katana, and it's like an instant death for everything up to like level 80.
Okay. I just didn't care, but I'm glad it exists for people. Like, I mean, I saw it had like daily missions to do and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh.
Every multiplayer game that multiplayer game they tried to bring back with 3 remake, it should have just been raid mode. Like,
Yeah,
it's the best
Yeah.
and most interesting multiplayer they've done since Outbreak. And
Oh, you're talking about the resistance thing does that even exist
Yeah.
anymore?
It's
No.
still
Resistance is still a thing, but it takes almost 30 minutes to find a match. My Sierra still plays it.
Okay, and then reverse is something else, or is that the same thing?
No,
That's Dead by Daylight.
terrible.
Yeah, Resistance was asymmetrical horror, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Like one person is like, I think Alex Wesker is in that. Like she's one of the people who drops in the monsters.
Oh,
and
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Rebirth is basically like death matches reusing all of the third person assets from the remake and Village.
And
It's not-
7. Okay.
It's not bad either. People would just wish they would stick with it, because I always hear people are like, "Oh yeah, it's not bad," but like they don't optimize it, and there's like people like, if you know how to cheat in the game, you can cheat and things like that. And people were like, "Oh, we wish that Capcom would just keep up with it," but Capcom for both games were literally like, "Oh, it's not making us money. Okay, cool, scrap it." And it's like,
yeah, because once Resistance and Reverse were actually popular for a while, and they were fun, especially Resistance. It was a lot of fun. But
I played the beta for Reverse, and I remember, it was really fun. But like it just reminds me of that Xbox 360 era multiplayer, where it's like, we can't just have the single player, we have to have another thing because it's a value add, even though it doesn't really need it. So I think that's the thing. It's like, well, we'll try this, and if it catches on, we'll put more money into it, like see Exo Primal, other things.
They just need to remake Outbreak 1 and 2. That's all they gotta do. You know?
it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
It's not. I wish, but it's not.
even funnier, I think Capcom's starting to get the letter though, because apparently someone said on the recent poll they had for Dead Rising, they because every time they come out the remake, they release a poll, and they're like, well, what games do you want to see? And people said with the last 3 remakes, RE2, 3, and 4, people were putting in manually that they want a remake for Dino Crisis, and they said for the one for Dead Rising, Dino Crisis was on a general option as opposed to people writing it in. So maybe they're learning. I don't fucking know.
I would love a Dino Crisis remake in the RE engine. That would be amazing.
So if you want a Dino Crisis remake, whenever it comes out on PlayStation 5 this month, you have to vote with your wallet. Don't subscribe to PlayStation tier whatever and go download Dino Crisis and delete it. Go buy it a la carte and go play it and finish it. So they have all the data of like, oh, a bunch of people bought this, and not only did they buy it, they bought it and they played it. That's the message you send them.
Or you could be like me and buy it on several different consoles.
Yeah, but the data now is what matters.
I hope it's optimized well too, because that game's fucking mixing is awful.
Yeah, Dino Crisis 2, I think, that's the formula they need to follow for future Dino Crisis games, because that's, I think, where they found their footing about what it needs to be. Like, Dino Crisis 2 was Resident Evil 4 before Resident Evil 4.
Interesting.
Dino Crisis 3 again, no love.
I'm low key worried the Resident Evil franchise is heading towards Dino Crisis 3. I'm actually waiting for what is it for there's a space station. I'm also totally jinxing myself, but I'm waiting for RE10 to be it's on a space station, the first ever space station, and we have to go figure out that there's a virus on there, and it turns out it's all being done by the frozen head of Wesker, and it's they really have run out of ideas.
And the main character is a clone of Chris.
And then it turns into Martian Gothic. And you're like, holy shit, I was playing a remake of Martian Gothic?
See, I think that wouldn't be a half bad idea if it was a new set of characters, and it's okay, you're someone working for a company and they're experimenting with a certain biological weapon in zero gravity to find out its effects on zero gravity or something. And then you are in a space station that you have to escape from, but it's like an alien movie where you're in outer space, and it's not like a house in the bayou where it's I just get in the boat and leave, or I get in the helicopter and fly out. It's no, you have to escape outer space.
And then when you just on the escape pod, all you see is a quick flash of the umbrella symbol.
That would be
Oh, you're talking about hiding that it's a Resident Evil game? In space.
So it starts out like a Dead Space game. That would be
underwater, Underwater, the movie did with Kristen Stewart. How at the very end they show for a split second Cthulhu.
What the fuck?
At the end of the movie, for a split 2 seconds, the giant monster that spawns all those little creatures that kill everybody in the movie, it's just Cthulhu.
What movie?
Underwater.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's buff Cthulhu too. They buffed him up.
Oh fuck. It's a Cthulhu movie without it being a Cthulhu movie. So if they could do a Resident Evil game without making it a Resident Evil game to the very end, that'd be great.
I know. Okay, Kristen Stewart.
If they could hide that secret, that would be incredible.
To be To be fair, they almost did. Everyone thought Life was going to be a fucking Venom prequel, and
I remember that.
Oh yeah.
That would have been great if it was Venom prequel.
Honestly, I think part of me believes Tony's like, "Fuck, we probably should have actually done that." Honestly.
Oh, I think they did. Yeah, we're thinking that.
Or like if they had made Resident Evil Biohazard and not called Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, sorry, not called Resident Evil 7, just say Biohazard. And people only in Japan knew that. Oh, hey, that's a reference to our thing, haha.
Well,
And then
I think enough
Resident Evil game at the end, then it'd be
enough
great.
people would have known, because originally it was just kitchen and it had nothing to do with,
Yes.
because the demo felt very supernatural, not biological. Like it wasn't until they added the goopy monsters in the updates, and they had already announced that it was Resident Evil 7. But if they just would have said like, this is a creepy, almost Silent Hill PT thing, and then at the end a guy takes off his helmet and says, "I'm Chris Redfield," like I would have hit the roof.
Yeah, I will too.
It's bad when fans have better ideas for their games.
Well, the issue with that is marketing. You won't market it. You can't market it as well, and then you don't get
And that's
sales,
the thing,
so.
is that like if you're marketing a new IP, because I think, what was it Ryan Reynolds said, they wanted to make a fake, they wanted to market a fake movie, and then people would go to this fake movie and find out it was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
And I mean, spoilers for a movie that's I can't remember how many years old, but when you went to go see Split and you found out it was a secret Unbreakable sequel.
Oh, dude, that was great.
Yeah. And you don't get those level of surprises anymore. But I get like when you're gambling on a video game now that has like a $200 million plus budget that needs to get strong week one sales or else everyone gets laid off. Although Capcom's in a unique position where I guess they don't have to do that. They're probably the only people who could do that, actually.
See, yeah, all they have to do is just be like the next, like from the creators of like survival horror, the next generation arrives, and then just be like, it's in space and it's new characters, and then at the end, you're like, oh shit, that was Resident Evil 10.
They could have potentially done that with the Evil Within games. They could have said, oh, by the way, this is also a Resident Evil spinoff.
Well,
that wasn't
different
companies.
companies.
It was a different company,
studios
though.
owned by
Yeah,
different-
different company.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's from like the same creator that, like, oh, yeah, by the way, they could have been tied to it, is what I'm saying. Like, without actually tying it.
All right,
Within.
should we go on to questions, comments, or memories?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes. Right, let me pull these up. I got some people to comment. Okay, first from the I Walk the Entire Orbital Super Replay group. I got a few, actually. From Rody Mace. I love the game. The Mercenaries type mode is really good, too. From Greg D. Riso. My main gripe was the setting. It just looks like a generic spooky movie setting. Moira isn't always great either, but maybe the most lazy thing is the invisible enemies. It's not a perfect game, but an okay one. From Ron Hunto, friend of the show. Have you tried out the raid mode? I put over 40 hours in that mode alone. I tried for 10 minutes. Wasn't for me. But I did find it funny when I did log on, because I'm friends with only a few people on Steam, but one of my friends, Watt from the Discord, joined the Discord. He's like, it's like, he has over 250 medals. You only have one. You should catch up to him. And I'm just like, I didn't even know you played this game.
PlayStation said by the time I finished this playthrough, it said I had 91 hours in the game. And I was like, oh, that has to be raid mode. But I was only like level 6 with Barry.
Could have been like idle time.
Well, not only that, the other characters do. All the characters in raid mode do progress differently. So you could be level 6 with Barry, but be like level 120 with Wesker.
Or a different save or something, depending. And then from Cameron Solerado, I love this game. I think it's very underrated personally. I was so excited for this game, but when it was announced, because new RE game was also Barry was back in the main game story, and that was awesome. And he said, I did not expect Alex Wesker to be the big bad after years of her being only mentioned in Project W lore. I thought we would never see her alive, especially post RE5 timeline-wise. She's also a bad guy who wins, and I want to follow up that 9 years later still. Revelations 3, make it happen, Capcom. What is Project W? It sounds familiar.
Oh, that was.
I think it's just Project Wesker.
Yeah, it was. Were there like shorts or something where like he narrates things from his point of view?
Well, there was something that came in like some of the first prints of Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Yeah.
Where it was like Wesker recounting the series and adding different lore things.
Yes.
I don't know. It's the first I've ever heard of it.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think that's a thing. There's like little videos, and I think I watched them before at some random point in my life on YouTube. I can't.
Like Wesker talking to his grandchildren. That's what it's supposed to be.
I'm curious, but not curious enough to Google it and figure it out while we're talking. All right, from Rob St. John, I enjoyed this more than I thought. Loved the final boss. From Kat D. Monette, I really enjoyed the game and played it co-op all the way through with a friend. It was the last co-op Resident Evil game, and I missed that aspect of the series that started with RE5. It's fair. I mean, I enjoyed 5 and 6 the last time I played them. It's just been a while. And from David Lewis, Revelation 2 was a pretty solid game. The release model at the time was kind of cool since it was only a week between episodes. Some parts weren't as good as others, but overall I think it was a solid outing and one of the better points of Capcom's effort to get RE back on track at the time. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I will comment on the episodic model because I replayed Alan Wake when they did the remake, and something that I can't believe they never fixed with that game is that you finish an episode and then it does the previously on as opposed to putting the previously on at the start of the next episode.
That's fair. I love Alan Wake though, but that's fair. And from the official Laser Time community, I got one comment from Nick Turner. Revelations 1 got me back into the RE series. Revelation 2 is as strange as you mentioned it, but I still had quite a good time with it. Right. And then from the Horror Survival Horror Games group, I got 2 from Dan Olvera. I played it on the 360 back in the day, and I started playing it once more, and it's a very good Resident Evil. Loving the creature/monster design, they remind me of movies like Hills Have Eyes, and the whole prison-like environment aesthetic is also very creepy. It's the first episode. From David Villegas, the episodic feature was a nice touch. Me and my sister used to come home from school each time one release is not the strongest story, but having Claire and Barry in a game was pretty awesome, especially with the ending, how it ties to one of the main titles. It ties to one of the main titles?
Yeah. Fine.
Oh yeah, Claire's driving in the car, and she says like, "Oh, so he's in China now? Well, tell Piers to take care of him." Like referring to Chris.
Oh,
yeah. In Italia, when she's looking at the newspapers, they're
referencing
things from 6.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not get that ending, and I did not see that on YouTube
because they hadn't decided what was going to be post 6 yet or not. So I guess they didn't want to commit to anything.
Okay, I mean, it makes sense that there would be stuff from 6 that would be commented on because 6 is such a world event from what I remember of 6.
Well, the president gets killed.
Oh, oh yeah,
that would make a headliner too.
And like entire nations are turned into like zombie monsters, basically. So
yeah, China's just wiped off the map, and that
and then that including the Civil War in Europe.
I never looked into like the timeline from where 7 falls in, but I should do that because it's like, is it post 6?
It is.
7's post 6.
It is. That's crazy. And nobody mentions, like, do you remember how a country got nuked?
Well, I mean, to be fair, 7 is a very closed situation of a guy just trying to find his girlfriend at first.
Yeah, and it takes place in 2017, apparently. Because there are, like, newspapers that talk about, like, things that have happened.
Not to mention that one of the outbreak survivors is in Resident Evil Biohazard.
Oh, the reporter. Yeah.
Yep, the reporter's in Resident Evil Biohazard.
Yep.
You mean 7?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're confusing me. Biohazard. I'm like, what is going on?
Well, it's called Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Yes. Yeah. Confusing me. All right, and then from the last group, Resident Evil veterans, I got a few. From Fossil Nasir, awesome game, definitely better than Revelations 1. From Jim Hutches, I picked up both of them for $8 a few weeks back on Xbox. Looking forward to it. Hey, they're both good games. You'll enjoy it if you listen. Well, we already spoiled. You probably didn't listen to this, but they're good games. For $8, definitely worth it. From Danny Medenzo, I played as a demo on Xbox One, and I gotta say it's a great semi-open world game. This is not open world.
Huh.
Maybe it feels like that in the demo, but this is not open world. And from Spade Diamond, this was a great game, but only one-time play for me. I've never been interested in replaying the game, and the first one I thought sucked. Just my opinion, though. This one was actually really good from what I remember, just not so good I want to play it again, maybe, though I totally forgot how that game even goes. And nothing wrong with only playing a game once. I mean, I play most games once, move on, and play next game. I mean, there's so many games out there, nothing wrong with playing a game once, beating it, seeing the ending, and putting it back on your proverbial digital self if that's how you played it. Nothing wrong with that. From Aaron Jones, I haven't played this game, but I have been told it's pretty easy. Would you agree? I wouldn't say it's pretty easy. It's not hard, but I wouldn't say it's easy.
The first time I played this game... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I played on no escape mode, and that was an absolute nightmare. I do not recommend anybody play it on that.
The first time when it came out, I started it on normal and I had to restart because I was at the end of Claire's section and I just had no ammo and was just being swarmed and was yeah, I need to, I'm just gonna restart this.
Yeah, that was the right decision. I mean, there's some challenge to it, definitely. I mean, I was running out of ammo a lot, but then I got to a point where I wasn't anymore. But this game's definitely not easy. So, all right, from Hi Nassar, never got the chance on this game, but been eyeing it since the 3DS era, currently finishing RE2 Remake. From Christian Oniza, underrated, but one of my top RE games of all time. From Dan Muller, best game ever created to play in co-op with someone who doesn't know how to play a video game. I basically taught my wife to play with this game. She loved it, and we're playing together since then.
Yeah.
That's fair. From Jared Myers, I love Revelations 2. I went in expecting the worst because of RE6, but Rev 2 felt like a giant step in the right direction. They did such a good job with Barry. His portrayal and voice actor is some of the best characterization in the series, in my opinion. I wish the campaign had online co-op, though. Never been able to play a couch co-op. From Andrew Bell, just finished this game. Was good, but not Resi Evil enough for me. That's fair. And I got to read this from Jose Ignacio. Love me some Barry. Ha! Who's the master of unlocking now? I forgot that joke is in here. I don't mind that stuff. I did enjoy the Claire sandwich joke too. It's just funny. From Subvert, more Barry is always a good thing. Let me see here. Okay, from Scott Anthony, the Revelation spin-offs are the better Resident Evil spin-offs, and Revelation 1 arguably saved the franchise. The episode format from Revelations 1 from the DS would fit a handheld game. I say it arguably saved the franchise at the time. Resident Evil 6 was about to come out, and as we all know, that didn't go down too well. I like 6.
I mean, 6 wasn't critically reviewed, but it made a lot of money for Capcom.
He says a lot more, but I don't want to read all of it. And last one from Ezekiel Davis. The fact that nearly a decade later, Capcom still has us hanging after the twist kind of pisses me off. I have a feeling this one might get retcon. Fine game, though. Don't get me wrong. The twist that Natalia was possessed by Alex or something like that, I'm assuming.
I think that's what's worried he's talking about. Is he's worried oh yeah, eventually they won't bring the whole Natalia being possessed thing. But honestly, like I said, every Resident Evil game after Revelations, every Resident Evil game after Revelations, except maybe every one single one of them is always teasing something. What is it? 5 teases a whole other fucking businesses. 6 has Neo Umbrella that also might exist for whoever Ada works for. 7 teases the organization that fucking doesn't really go anywhere. Revelations 1, there's those 2 people are working for some other organization. There's this, and then 8 also teases another company that may or may not exist. So every game's always trying to tease another sequel, and honestly, Capcom needs to figure out which fucking string they're gonna pull because I'm fucking sick of it.
All right. I think I should give away a code before we go to Shelf Stack. Let me see here. What's the next code in my list to get rid of? All right, the code is for Symphony of War. This is your Steam code. It is 2A7VFZLPVKVRKKD. That is your code for Symphony of War, whatever that is. There you go.
I thought you were going to say Symphony of the Night, and I was going to chime in and be like, good game.
That would start with Castlevania in there. But yes, that is a good game. I fucking love I love Symphony of the Night so much. That is such a damn good game. All right, let's go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Nate, why don't you lead us in?
Oh, okay. I'm going to put this in the box. I don't ever want to play it again or think about it.
Okay.
But I've also thought to myself, I should go get the platinum in this game because I'm a sicko.
I'm a sicko.
But honestly, it starts off good, and then it just quickly devolves into just a nothing burger. And Moira sucks. One of the worst written characters I've ever encountered in a video game. And then I like everybody else.
All right, Joseph.
I am gonna put this in the stack. I don't think it's a bad game. It's got some good things going for it, and I definitely see myself coming back, especially for the raid mode, just because that is very addictive. Not one of the, it's not like upper tier Resident Evil, but it's still pretty good overall.
Okay, Blair.
I'll put it in the stack. I don't feel the need to replay this very often, but it's between say 2009 to 2015. Resident Evil output between 5 Revelations, Operation Raccoon City, and 6, I would pick this over all of those. It was somewhat of a course correction for those things, but it has some cool ideas how it handles co-op mechanically, but the repetitive environments, and the environments are also very uninteresting. Like, they're just boring, and the color palette is really drab. It just makes me just not want to return to this in the same way I would go back to other games.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm gonna put this in the stack too. I had fun. I don't really have. I mean, it was a fine game. I had a good time. It's not too long. I didn't hate it. It was just fine. It's a stack. Mario.
This one's actually a box for me, only because I have to want to play it. I have to want to be in the mood to play it, even for raid mode. And if that's not the case, then it's just taking up space in my living room. So put in the box, put in the shed until I play it again.
All right, and Joe.
This is going on the shelf for me. You can all leave me alone. I very much hold this as a very close piece of my heart, mainly because it is ironically, even though it's a very Resident Evil game. The story is abnormally goofy. I like a lot of it. I love all the characters. The twist ending, I can take it or leave it, honestly, mainly because it's Resident Evil. Like I said, they do this every fucking game now, so it's whatever. But I also think it's a great co-op game. I think someone mentioned it, or it might have one of the comments too, but yeah, it's also very much a game where even replaying it recently, my husband was like, "Oh yeah, this seems like a good game you could always play with someone who never played games before." And I was like, "Yeah, that is true." But even at the end of the day, both me and my partner get to like episode 3, and we're just whooping ass for the rest of the game. So I have a great time with it every time I play it. We play it, and we always have a great time, and it's a great couple bonding experience for us. So I'm putting it on the shelf.
Okay, hey, nothing wrong with it. I mean, I didn't mind it. I mean, compared to other games I'm going to mention in a couple of weeks, I didn't mind this at all. So
it would be amazing if like a couples therapist was like, "Why don't you guys go home and play Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil Revelations 2, and just work together, like save a marriage."
I feel like that'd be more It Takes Two.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
No, It Takes Two. That's a fun game, but yeah, that's a fun one.
This is not.
Story's a little heavy.
All right, and I should introduce what we're talking about next week. Next week, you can hear us talk about Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. So that's your next week spooky game. It's horror, Jason. It's close enough. You fight vampires. Dracula in it. It fits. So,
whoa, spoilers. Dracula's in that one?
Who would have guessed he's in a Castlevania game? My God. So that is next week's episode. And that just brings us to plugs. And Mario, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Spotify and Facebook under Biased Gaming.
And Nate.
You can find me on TikTok at Nate Does Comedy 79.
And Mr. Blair.
You can find me on various social media platforms, either by my name or at Blair Arcade. You can read my work on comicbookvideogames.com. The most recent thing at the time of this recording is a review for the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection on Switch. You can watch me stream Resident Evil games sometimes and various other superhero games on twitch.tv/BlairArcade. And if you search my name in Amazon, you can also find my books, The Web of Spider-Man games, and The Avengers and Video Games.
Oh, and one last quick thing I forgot that I wanted to mention this episode is I fucking hate, it was all those fucking necessary, the cover of this game. I hate that eyeball so much.
It's the Revelations eyeball. Oh,
terrible.
Oh, yeah. My kids also
Terrible
did not
cover.
like that.
So, yeah, it made me not want to buy this game for years because that cover is just awful. That's why the cover of this episode is not that cover. Because I just hate that picture so much. All right, if you enjoyed this episode, over 650 other episodes of this podcast, you can find everything we do on Podbean. If you want to hear all the rest of our Resident Evil content, which we've been doing, the movies, the games, all sorts of, you will find that in the show notes. You can click right there and go listen to each episode. Please do. They need more love. I don't do a whole ton of these. I do them once a year. So definitely go check all that out. If you want to support the show, we do a Patreon. For those of you vote in our Patreon polls, we have 1 to 2 polls every month. You get to affect the show. And if you want to be on the show and chat with us, join our Discord. You will see a link in the show notes of every episode. Definitely go join our Discord, chat with us, suggest things to be on the show. It will happen someday. And be on the show. That's how you do it. So definitely go check all that out. And we're going to talk my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Elena at Hell Has Free. You can follow her on TikTok and Instagram. Definitely go check her out. And want to shout out to Bill Tucker, a gamer looks at 40. Definitely go check out his podcast. He's talking Final Fantasy right now, forever. And not forever, but it sure feels like it for him, I'm sure. I know it does. And I think that's it. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, Squirrel videos, YouTube, audio only, rate and reviews wherever you get your podcast. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.